Final Frontier News. Good evening, everybody. It's Final Frontier News. Unfortunately, I couldn't find Dave's epic intro voice, which is really gets me in the mood. And it really is quite the disappointment to not have that, but I will locate it and piece this thing together better next time. Last week we had Dave's intro, but didn't have the music down really. So now we have that. It is May 24th, 2016. This is episode number 6 of Final Frontier News. We are very happy to have you here with us live on YouTube, or if you're listening to this not live on iTunes or wherever you're hearing us, we're happy that you're hearing from us. Here with Dave Rose and of course Jesse J, and you may have noticed that the title is about the power of harmonics and acoustical resonance, and we'll probably dive into a few other things as well tonight. Guys, what's going on?
Doing good tonight. Yeah.
I'm doing really good.
Me too.
Doing pretty good. Jesse, are we almost over the retrograde? The ever, I'm so sick of hearing about it, but we're almost over retrograde, right?
Well, if you remember when I was talking about it, I wasn't quite sure what the shadow period is. I think I'm learning just by experience. It's going direct, but I think there's like residuals, you know? Everything that you're supposed to have learned during the retrograde is you got to kind of set it up for the next few weeks, and then when it really goes direct fully within the next month, that's when things will get a little bit more on track. So a lot of work to put in for the rest of the year, regardless.
I do feel better, but you're right. I feel better, but I still feel that lingering, like it's still jabbing me every once in a while. So. Hopefully
the start time of the show. There you go, guys. That's pretty much. It should get everything should get a little smoother, regardless, over time. So.
All right. Well, we had Devious Dave Rose is here with us too, but this is the power of harmonics and acoustical resonance, and I don't know, where should we begin with this whole thing, guys?
Well, Dave, you'd know a little bit more about how it started as far as chronological. I wouldn't be able to do that part. Are you cool with answering that?
Well, why don't you start off with why you wanted to cover it
well, because sound is incredibly important.
Maybe give your understanding of the whole situation of the audience.
Okay, well, I don't know, what was it, about a year or so ago, I started watching stuff about like the universe and whatnot, and then it led to, I read something called, I watched something, what was it, the Pyramid Codes, I think it was. It's like a 4-part piece.
Yeah.
Who's that guy? Robert Bauval, he's in it, and some other guys. David Serrata's in there. And then I saw some stuff by him, and sound is just so powerful that it's believed that you can levitate objects, you can heal, you can, some people believe, David Serrata, he believes in Jesus, he believes in God very much so, but he also believes in all of this other stuff, and he doesn't separate the two. So he believes Jesus actually turned into a beam of light in the pyramids. He believes that the pyramids are supposedly a big sound conductor, basically. They used to use it for healing, supposedly. It made sense to me. I just said that to just to buffer everyone else, because honestly, I believe it struck a huge chord. Everything with me is feeling. So when I watch or read something that really hits me, I follow that. Sound, yeah, it's just incredibly important. I mean, you can get into there's vibration, there's sounds that it's like colors, right? There's a spectrum that we can see and hear, and who's to say because there's lower pitches and higher pitches that perhaps we can't hear, doesn't mean they're not there. Same with colors.
Yeah.
Animals can hear and see different colors than we can. So it's just all right. So then it's kind of forgotten knowledge in my opinion. It's all really, it's forgotten, distorted, whatever. I mean, there's people, I don't know what the truth is to this, but there's when you tune a guitar, when you tune something, a lot of times the tuner will be at 440 hertz, and 432 hertz is the vibration of love. It's the vibration. It's a very special frequency. 528 hertz as well. You can search for music, like music you already know, classical music. I've even found Iron Maiden at 432 hertz. If you tune your guitar at 432 hertz, it's going to be a bit flat. It's not. There's people that believe that it's I don't know, conspiracy theorists, whatever you want to call it, but I don't like to label any of it. They say that the music was changed for control purposes, which honestly, that wouldn't even be on a conscious level. That'd probably be some prison planet, all that other stuff,
Right.
more a greater control power. So it's like when you listen to music at 432 hertz, it does sound weird because most music is at 440 hertz. But the sound, like for months now, a lot of months, 6 months, a lot lately as well, I try and download as much 432 hertz stuff as I can, and I try and get it at the highest quality that I can. And because it's made a huge difference. It's really, I did it for self-love. I did it so that I would vibrate love, basically, in case, no matter what happened, I haven't been treating myself so well. So that was my way of, and also it's hard for me to quiet my mind for meditation and such. But I can, when I go to sleep, I can throw on some tones. You can, a lot of times it's best with headphones. I mean, you can look up 432 hertz tones by, how do you say it? Binaural beats? How do you say that, Dave? Do you know?
Sorry, what word?
You know those beats that you can look up? What's that freaking word? I'm such an ass munch. You can, all right, just look at, you can look up tones and healing tones. Some of them are very weird. You might be like, what the hell is this? It's like a kind of stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
You can move things. You can boil water with sound. You can, now that's where I go blank, but I mean,
you can boil water using sound to make vibrations?
Yes. I mean, and there you can move things. Everything has resonance. It's an old, like I said, it's forgotten stuff. It's not, it's not well known. Matter of fact, it sounds crazy to most people. Absolutely nuts. So, I mean, but why does everyone feel so good when you listen to music? It's not just the words and the melodies and all that stuff. It's vibrations, sound. I mean, you can hear a bell chime and you can hear you can hear birds. You can hear a lot of things. You can hear the wind go by. The wind has a voice. Everything has resonance, and then that stuff you can actually somewhat, you can hear. Even the wind, you can hear it. You can't hear all tones. You can't see all colors, but they're around. Anyway, the aspect that I'm most interested in is the healing aspect. Obviously, like I said, I listen to the tones to basically try and give me an advantage as far as just getting me where I need to be, with a lot of habits and a lot of, I have a lot of self-destructive patterns in my life, and they're going to be there forever. So I'm actually trying to change a lot of those patterns. A lot of years of self-loathing, things like that, for quarter century. I'm 27. I was 25 years. I pretty much wasn't good. So now, I mean, I'm doing it myself. Even before I started listening to the tones, you change yourself just by changing. But this sound and frequency, when you say words, when you Even when you think and feel stuff and you have an intention towards somebody, that is creating a sound. There's a vibration, a ripple
Yeah.
that you can't see it. You don't, you know, you have to kind of, you have to tap into that to really understand it. It's not, yeah, it's not something you can just see. These aren't like, it's not like on a, like an earthquake meter where you see the, it's not sound waves on a piece of paper that you can print out. It's something that you have to, yeah, you can't see it with the human eyes.
Sound has always helped me focus on when doing work or doing schoolwork.
Any kind of music or any kind of sound, like
Just
you mean having any sound around you, television, whatever.
yeah, but I mean, especially if I listen to something that I like or something that sounds good to me. I like ambient sounds and ambient settings. So the idea of like futuristic lights mixed with nature or anything that's modern. Like I like that. It stimulates me and weirdly it makes me work better. But if you were to put me in, like I hate the room I'm in right now. Because it's very orangey and I don't like what I'm looking at, but I do like the lights that I have. If I turn on my light, I like the illuminated atmosphere. It makes me more focused, and but
Well, there you go. That's a visual that calms you down. I was talking about
but it goes with sound too. It goes with sound.
Oh, sure.
Because,
Yeah.
yeah, certain noise and levels in certain music, and it doesn't have to be music that's like a pop song or that I care about, or not even not death metal or something. I mean, just a very ambient noise, or something that's softer tones or even lighter tones. But I also like chaotic stuff too, like even a certain amount of dubstep. Crazy enough, I would like that. Anything that strikes me, that just focuses you. So anybody, no matter what you like, no matter what music it is, you could like gangster rap, and it could focus you. Whatever it is, it stimulates you, and it hits your brain
No,
with
that's
those
absolutely
vibrations.
right. Yeah. It depends what you're in. I'm sorry.
It's being produced by vibrations and being absorbed by you via vibrations and sounds. So you would think naturally that you would have some sort of connection with these vibrations.
Yeah, because our minds can understand the words being said, and we can interpret the feelings from the melodies and the keys, just everything. That adds to it. But even if it was just sound, if we didn't, I mean, it's very you'd go crazy without it. Unless you meditated a lot. I mean, because otherwise, everyone needs it. It's like the low vibrational way of like. I don't know if I'm going to put that right, and I don't really care because it's the way I'm going to explain it. It's like if anyone can hear sound, unless you're deaf, and then you feel it more, and that's how you hear it. I mean, we can all. It's like the way anyone does it, whether you meditate or not. You can all understand and feel sound and enjoy it, or not like it. I mean, it's something you can interpret, but you can't interpret all tones of sound, and that's where things like meditation and an open mind, really, come into play. Because there's just a lot of doctors out there will not tell you that there's other ways to go about things, and to surround yourself with these kind of tones and to surround yourself with good classical music and stuff. There is a difference between like heavy metal and classical music. Heavy metal will, all right, it's the water crystallization. When you listen to classical music, or when you have a really high vibration, your water crystallizes. It makes plants grow better. Everything you can focus more. Things get more positive when you listen. Like Mozart, for instance, he understood the code basically. Listening to something like heavy metal, yes, you resonate with it. Yes, it makes you feel good. All of those things, yes, yes, yes. But depending on what it's about, if it's really about some really mad, nasty stuff, really bad things, that's you going down to the low vibrational level for a reason. Like when you do your chakras, you start at the base, right? That low vibration, you start at the root, and you deal with fear and survival. Survival is blocked by fear. Every chakra has like a block, and then a solution basically of the other side of the coin. So when you need something, I mean, it's cool. You can listen to heavy metal all your life. I'm not trying to create it like a well, what do you mean? You know, I've enjoyed metal all my life. It, you know, it hasn't done anything bad to me. No, that's not what I'm saying. Some people, though, I mean, it depends what scene you're in. I mean, I listen to Iron Maiden. They're not going to make you do. I'm talking about the guys who, when they play. I've been to death metal shows where they literally choke women in the audience with a microphone cord because that's the kind of feel they're putting out there. And if you're putting that kind of feel into your music, I don't care if you're a better person 20 years later. Billy Corgan even said this. He says, you know, even though the double album we did, best album, you know, one of the best double albums of all time, best album of their career, he's not so happy he put that mark on the world anymore because it is a vibration and it is forever, but it's necessary when people are feeling down. When you're, I know, a glass of water, right? I think I have some. When you're feeling down, when you need, you know, there's sad stuff and then there's happy stuff. You need to resonate. If you're really feeling low, some people need to have a happy influence. Some people, they need to feel sad for a while, like myself. I still need to embrace it for what it's worth. I'd rather listen to a sad song because that's, you know, I want to resonate with it. And so, you know, you go there and then after you've done that, you can, I don't know, I'm kind of losing my track of thought here. There's different reasons for everything, like all these different vibrations and levels. There's learning from it. It's just, I don't know. It's yeah. I'm like,
Dave,
really
let me get Dave's opinion on this. Hey, Dave, what do you?
Maybe I've been talking too long.
What do you think?
No,
Dave?
I'm really enjoying what you're having to say, Jesse. If you have more, please.
Well, honestly, if I listen back to what I was saying 45 seconds ago, because I just literally lost my thought.
Well, you were in.
Go ahead, or fill in, Dave, if you can. I'm freaking losing my voice.
Well,
anyhow.
I mean, yeah, I'm interested to hear where Dave comes from on this whole thing, and how it applies to what Dave's beliefs.
Essentially, everything vibrates at a certain frequency. It's you know, down from our atoms all the way to large molecules and groups of molecules, and you know, as you go up in the size of objects and beings and such, it all resonates, as Jesse was talking about. It all is working at a certain frequency, and just like light, there's certain aspects of that frequency that are accessible to us, whether we can hear them or emulate them, or that we cannot, like subsonic frequencies that are just beyond our hearing. Now, scientifically, it's already been proven and shown and videotaped and cataloged that with subsonic and sonic frequencies, you can cause levitation. You can cause objects to actually lift off, and you can manipulate them in their direction and stuff. And this has been used with speakers, for example, or obviously modified speakers, similar to magnets as well. And again, if you start to look at the essence of this, you're starting to go to frequencies that are electromagnetic. So we're getting to the sort of argument that everything's connected by one sort of controlling force. But that's, again, a topic for another day. The aspect of sound or acoustic resonance, that everything resonates at a certain frequency, and this is, again, scientifically proven, allows us to, again, manipulate that object, whether or not we want to cure it if it's unhealthy. We want to regulate its natural biorhythm, or we want to levitate an object. This, again, is available and to a certain extent has been proven. I want to quickly just jump to a topic that has been mentioned by Simple Superior in the chat, which is related to this, which is the, hopefully I'm pronouncing this right, the solfeggio frequencies. And essentially these make up a ancient six-tone scale that has been thought to been used in sacred music and has also been well known in Gregorian chants.
If it's okay, Joe, I was actually going to play those, a little small clip of those later too, if that was okay.
Of what?
Those six tones.
No, go for it. Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay.
You know,
that's separate from the other thing.
While you were speaking, I was considering the vibrations of the moving cells of your brain, the memories of your brain, the thoughts, and the nostalgia, and where nostalgia comes from. And if you think about the idea that, you know, maybe when you were a kid, you had a really good memory or a lot of memories of being, maybe in middle school or a kid or summertime, you know, as a kid. A lot of us have when you see something from the summer of 98 or you see something from the summer of 95, you get the nostalgic about it. So like when I hear certain music from that time, and I think of those times often nostalgic wise, so when I hear a song from there, I get a good feeling about it. Even if at the time you were like, I'm sick of this stupid song I'm hearing all the time, because you enjoyed that time and you're feeling a nostalgia about it, and then you hear it modern day, it all kind of connects positively. And it's quite impactful, I think, sometimes when you hear that song. What tone is that? Jeez, I just blew my ears off. I'll tell you what, if we were doing this on the other channel, people would really be laughing at us. What was that?
It was just I had one with a heavier vibration going, but I was on mute. So that one was like a little higher. It wasn't holding as well. But if you do it right, it just carries the vibration. That was that bowl that I was using earlier.
Oh, okay.
The only reason I just jumped it in, I didn't mean to jump it in like that, but it was because it had like my whole arm vibrating because I have it on my hand, and I was like, whoa, that's really going. If I can so I tried to unmute it, and it screwed up the.
Well, you know what? Up. Just go into the sewer. Go into the subway with that. Go in the subway with that, and just start hitting it, and then put a little tip jar.
Tokens, you say?
That'd be great. See who gets mad at you. Yeah, myself, I hate that sound. So that doesn't resonate with me very well.
And there's different levels.
Give me a different one.
Well, I just opened that like 15 minutes ago. So if you want different tones, I'm gonna have to put that on. I'll have to get the file. Hang on.
You're gonna have to work on it.
No, I have the file. It's not. No, I'm not. That was something I can play for you.
Okay, all right, I got you.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, what else were you saying? You weren't done, Dave, right?
I'm never done.
Good. Well, give me some more of this. I want to hear some more of this.
Okay, well, in regards to acoustics, you can also, again, look at this 432 hertz frequency. And this apparently is a frequency that is called the Schumann Resonance.
Right.
And it's a global electromagnetic resonance, which apparently has its origins in the electrical discharge of lightning, and also its relationship. It's got several aspects, but it basically comes out to sort of like, if you want to, in layman's term, like sort of a heartbeat, if you want to call it that. And this 432 hertz frequency relates a lot to it. Apparently 8 hertz intervals also relate a lot to the natural frequencies of the Earth, and what's called bioresonance, which is the frequency that your body resonates. If you actually, and militaries around the world, and if you, again, as we always say on this show, or as I always say, before I'm spirited away by some men in black, you always have to look at what the military is doing. That's your gauge. So projects were done to utilize sounds to affect the body, and by actually focusing certain frequencies at the body, you could cause it to be very ill. And these aren't audible frequencies most of the time. So you can refine these sorts of technologies and definitely use them to be advantageous in war or any other cloak and dagger type operations.
Wow.
So that's more of the negative aspects of this acoustical resonance technology.
Can you I want you to do this for me. I don't know if you know this, but what's the difference between a vibration or a severe vibration or a large pulse, or an electromagnetic pulse versus a straight up sound vibration?
Sound requires air. It requires, well, actually, it requires an atmosphere to vibrate. When those particles vibrate, that's where sound is emanating. You can't have sound in space, for example.
Yeah.
So again, that's where acoustics comes into play. When you have an atmosphere, when you have somewhere where these um, atoms can resonate from a frequency that you're emanating, you have that ability to create what's known as sound.
Okay. And if I were in space speaking to you outside of a helmet, wouldn't be alive, but you would not hear me.
No, we wouldn't. But that doesn't dismiss the fact that there's still the ability to emit some sort of frequencies in space where there is no atmosphere.
Yeah.
But again, it's not sound frequencies, it's electromagnetic frequencies. And if you consider things, essentially everything energy and everything a certain vibration, you could technically see that sound, could, at the higher ends of vibration, anything, matter, just like water, for example.
Yeah.
Water can go from several different states. It can go from a liquid to a solid, as in ice, and then it can melt, and it can just break apart, and it can evaporate. So
Right.
it's the same thing in that matter.
If I were to use these bells or these tones or whatever the heck it is that Jesse has purchased here, I would be more successful in doing this while meditating. Is this geared for meditation, or is this geared for, Jesse, you can do this whenever you want, or should you really be meditating and relaxed when you're using this?
That can be your meditation. You may be hard at you may be hard at focusing. You may think of a million things no matter what you do. Even if you're trying to think of one, you're going to think of three. So by having to focus on this, it's like they say, well, to start meditating, focus on your breathing. That's because you have to focus on your breathing. If you have to hold in a certain amount of seconds, breathe out a certain amount of seconds, inhale a certain amount of seconds, that's a lot of concentration. This, I'm having to concentrate a lot over here with this. I am getting more different sounds now, but I'm having to really concentrate. That right there's your meditation. And the sounds vibrating around you, do that for 10 minutes, you're good.
Right.
Make it simple. Make it really simple.
Now, one thing I want to mention is that if you look into ancient civilizations and technologies, you see that the way that they've described manners of moving extremely large objects and rocks that we still can't do today to that accuracy, they indicated that they were using some sort of harmonic system, technology, whatever you want to call it. And it seems to be also seen in inscriptions, in drawings, in all sorts of art forms, showing the ability to move these objects by levitating them. And it's also gone down in oral and written tradition and history that this is the manner that these great objects were moved.
And we talked about the fascination of this, of moving these bricks, moving these stones, moving these heavy items, moving maybe such as the Stonehenge with vibrations, and because there's that perfect harmony, that perfect level, and you see it in examples in general life, or when you're playing around, when something such as when you're moving your hand around a glass of wine with the rim of the glass, and all of a sudden you hit that sweet spot and it starts to make that noise. And when you
Technically what I'm doing right over here is the same deal.
right
Sort of.
now, but when you hit that noise, there's vibration. And if you were to measure, if you were to rub your hand around that glass in almost a regular way, you measure the vibration that the table is going through, it is minimal. But if you hit that spot where it's vibrating, that sweet spot, you would see that it is vibrating. The vibrations in the movement has changed, and that's if you were really measuring it on a small scale, an exact scale. But you can also see it, like maybe with a jackhammer or with, you know, something else in life, a big machine. You know, you can do it with so many different things, and the bigger, and sometimes they don't have to be big things, but you can do it in different ways. So because you can do it at that minimal level, at that minuscule level, at a nano almost level, a small level, a minute level, you obviously should be able to recreate that in a much bigger level, a much with more impact, with high intensity. But how you do that is really the problem that we haven't been able to solve. And you know what, you see it in sound. We used to call it the sweet spot when I used to set up sound for tweeter. I used to install sound for tweeter, and I'm not a very good sound person, you know, to be honest. But you know, you'd take the subwoofer, for instance, and I used to set it up. The way I would do it is, if you put the subwoofer near the TV and you go sit down on the couch and you listen and you watch a movie and an explosion happens, well, you might hear the sub and you might sort of hear the bass, but you don't really feel the sub and feel the bass. But if you walk around the room, funny enough, you'll find an area of the room where the sub feels amazing, where it feels like you're in the subwoofer. It feels like it's part of you. It's vibrating with you. And you actually feel like you're connecting with the subwoofer, and you call it the sweet spot. And what would happen is, you would take the subwoofer and you'd put it where the couch is. You put it over there. And then you would walk around the room, try to find out where it's vibrating the best. Put the sub there, and then go sit down, and usually you would feel that vibration and connection now. Sometimes it wasn't the most convenient place for the sub to be, in your home living room, but you would feel this connection, and you would get the maximum potential out of your sound system. And at the time it was a 5.1 sound system. What are your comments to that, Dave?
It's interesting because, again, it's probably music that's coming at 440 hertz, so it is sort of diminishing and lowering that vibrational energy. And again, the higher vibrational energy that you have, the better it is. That's better for healing. It's better for movement of neurons in the brain, for activity. It's just good all around. And the higher vibration that your body can achieve, the better. I mean, even to the point where, if you want to look at metaphysical history, you've got certain individuals like the Buddha, for example, Siddhartha, who, or Jesus, for example, as you know, certain stories go, where at certain points they ascended and they were able to their vibration just reached a high point that they disappeared from the realm that man can see.
Yeah, that's what David Sarita was saying, that he's
now,
had many. Oh, sorry.
Now, I was just going to say, now, whether or not these stories are allegories or actualities, still points to the fact that they're trying to point towards a vibrational energy level that is, I guess, not standard, or is higher than the norm.
No, indeed, that's about it.
I have a good example of a glass and sound, and this is something I want to show everybody, because
Nice.
I think this is very cool. And when you talk about moving matter with sound and vibrations, this is one small example of it right here. You're getting a look at it right now. And this is from Coolest Things That Sound Waves Do.
Oh, wait, based on thought. For a person who asked, the vibrations change through time. Like they change all the time with your thoughts and with your feelings and what you say, everything.
With what?
All right, go ahead. The guy in the chat asked, do our vibrations change? And it's like, yeah, they change all throughout your life. Every second, really. Your thoughts create the vibrations, your intentions, everything.
That's
influences
true.
Around you. So yeah, go ahead, Dave.
No, I was just going to say, that's why Buddhism, and Buddhism is another paradigm. Don't think that I'm endorsing Buddhism, but You have to look at all the different aspects of all, unconditionally loving religions, and there is a difference, and look at these little stories that they're trying to tell. And again, these sometimes, they might be allegories, but sometimes they might be real. But either way, they are trying to explain a concept, specifically something that is, going to make you better.
I can, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I agree with Dave 100%. I like to take pieces from everything. You got to be open to it. Joe, what were you doing with the glass?
Oh, I showed it a video already of it. People saw it.
Oh, I thought it had a sound on it too, or no?
No, people saw it. It didn't really. It wasn't about the sound, really, to be honest. Funny enough, ironically.
Well, hey, that's
I
okay.
wanted to hear what the sound was, but they didn't play it in the video. They must have been blasting sound. I mean, that's more of a parlor trick compared to what we're kind of wondering what sound can do. Because yes, of course, if you blast.
Well, ultrasonic sound is something that we can't hear, but we can still see it affect objects levitate. So we know that it exists. We're emanating and generating that frequency. So if you can generate that at a high enough frequency, you can, again, utilize that to move large objects. There's a location in Florida called Coral Castle. Perhaps people in the chat have heard about it.
Oh, is this that guy?
There's that story about a guy, an Italian immigrant, who met this girl and he was going to get married with her at 16. She was 16. And then I don't know what age he was. But the day before their wedding, she called it off and he moved to America and built this sort of little city out of coral rock. Now, it was built with stones that were normally at least 1 ton in weight. He never used any equipment. There was never any equipment on site. Most of the work would be done at night or in the evening. There was never any witnesses except for a bunch of kids who supposedly, according to their testimony, said that they saw him use 2 cones, like ice cream cones, or at least in the shape of ice cream cones. And again, kids can sometimes not understand what they're seeing. But these grand objects were moved and levitated to their spots, and he built this huge castle. Look it up on Google, Coral Castle. And actually, this is the coolest thing, or one of at least. At a point after he built this castle, after he bought the property and everything, they were going to be doing development around his property. So he decided to move this to a new property. He did it at night. He moved the entire property. And again, nobody really saw, how he did it. But he moved all these huge stones and replicated what he had built. And again, he was elusive to how he did it. But there was always sort of a few clues and messages that he was leaving in regards to how he was doing this.
Yeah. Well, that's a wild story. I remember hearing something about that, and we're seeing a TV show maybe on it, maybe a documentary, because it's very wild. I have 8 ways to raise your vibration, Jesse, if you want me to read these.
Oh, please, go ahead.
Okay, I'm curious to hear what you have to say. An article by the holistic, what is it? The holisticreading.com, something like that. Become conscious of your thoughts. Everything you think, say, or feel becomes your reality. Every single thought that comes into your head has an impact on you. And obviously that's very easy to understand and believe. I feel greater. I will tell you guys something before we continue. I know I just began this list and I'm already teasing you now, but I want to let you know that I am in such a better place when I do this show with you guys than I am when I do my other show.
I make sure of it.
Before, yeah, right.
I try and throw that in the air, but I mean, it's probably for a good reason. I mean,
but seriously though, when we start this, before we start this show, I'm in a better place. When we're talking on this show, I'm in a great place. When the show's over, I'm in a better place, and when I listen to the show, I'm in a better place. When I listen to my other show, it's sort of
That's great, man.
it's chaos. And while the chaos and maybe the anger and the despair and the confusion and the all that stuff makes the show what it is, which it makes it good.
You know what, Joe? I need to bring up a point with this. All right, so
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you have read the book The Alchemist. All right, so there's alchemy, turning solid matter into gold and such, and then there's spiritual alchemy. Joe, I feel like that's kind of like what you do, and what a lot of us do. You have things that are that make your life harder, and you have struggles and you have things that you get upset about. Well, you're able to kind of vent it, and that's why I talk a lot about gray area. You got to embrace the light and the dark. Well, you can kind of say like this show gives you a chance to have that peaceful side, and then your other show it goes to a darker side, but it makes such positivity. Look at all the people that say, man, I got all these problems. Your show makes me, it makes them happy. It gets them through their days. We've got, how many comments have we gotten like that? Where,
Yeah, and emails.
And that was on that show, the show that's on the darker side of things, and and it's like that's alchemy to me, spiritual. When you're able to literally change a situation based on how you treat it and how you react to it.
Yeah.
And how you think about it when things are hitting the fan in your life, and if you don't have to be victim of the circumstance, you can actually go ahead.
I'm also I think I'm also more myself on this show too. Like, what I mean, a little bit of the other channel is, what I mean, obviously it's a little bit poured on, or it's a little bit characterish. So yeah, so I think part of it, what makes me feel good too, on top of all that before what I said, is that I get to be me, sort of like I get to kind of be me, and more the real me. I did a Periscope last night too, where I felt really good because I was just kind of being me. So when you really there's a different feeling you get.
Oh yeah, like yesterday after the show when you kind of did your bit.
Well, there's two different feelings.
That was nice. Yeah.
As someone that like does, like, if I was a wrestler and I go out into a crowd of people to perform in front of everybody, it's like you feel awesome, and an adrenaline rush, and you feel good. But there's almost, when it's over, there's a down, like a crashing, like you're like, oh, it's over now. And it's almost like when you're done having sex, you're like, you feel like you're somewhat guilty for some reason. So you're not quite calm. However, if I were to speak in front of a crowd of students about what to do right in life or something,
you know what it is? It's because, I'm sorry.
Well, when I got off stage, I was going to say I feel more calmed, almost like I just meditated, where if I was getting out of a ring, I would feel like real elation, but that I maybe sort of did something, maybe like I did something reckless. It's very weird. I'm not centered. I'm centered after the speech with the kids. I'm not centered after the wrestling match.
Okay, now what about, do you feel a crash after the match?
That's what I would say. Yeah, it's almost like
okay. Well, see, here's the thing too. With like it goes towards the spiritual alchemy thing too. When you, when things are going good, right? When you're happy, when things, whether it's adrenaline based or not, just when you're having a good time, you don't think about it, right? You're just like, this is great, and you're just in the moment. Well, when things are really messed up and sad, or you're feeling angry, you're feeling whatever, things are just horrible. Why don't we just take that the same way? Because we take the other stuff in the moment, right? We don't think about it. We just do. Well, when things are going bad, all we do is think. And like, even with that crash, you just that little bit of, I feel like I did something bad. I feel like, just embrace it. Embrace the crash, embrace the crappy feelings, the good feelings. If you embrace them all, your life actually gets easier. The reason life's hard is because a lot of us out there, probably 99% of the planet, think too much about everything, and like we've been talking about tonight, your thoughts create your reality. If you believe your life sucks because of variable A, B, C, or D, and then your neighbor, and then your best friend who you fought with, well, no, your best friend didn't do nothing, your neighbor didn't do nothing, and all these variables are not. You are the only variable that matters. It's how you react to them. If you see a solution rather than a problem for each one of those things that's in your path, solution. Don't focus on the problem. Focus on. A lot of times we even know the solution. Like, whether it be addiction, whether it be just something where something needs to change, and you don't do it for some reason or another. and then you wonder why you're still in the same place. You're inert. It's like inertia. And then the moment you do it, you're like, why didn't I do that years ago? I mean, everyone has those feelings. Everyone has those experiences in their lives, and those are kind of the same thing. It's alchemy to me. You have to just change the way you think about stuff, even at the worst of times. I mean, it's hard though. So that's what you read the very first one on that list, said to be very conscious of your thoughts. There you go. Like, be the observer. Don't be the one who's hurt, and like, don't be the one who's gonna hurt back. Like, don't don't take it personally, nor do you react. You stand as a third person, the energy and the conscious thought, and you see why everything happened, and why you feel that way, why they could have done what they did. Use a little empathy, get in their shoes a minute. Why did they do that? Oh, okay, that could be. And then, well, it's really me. It wasn't really them. I reacted because of this, and that happened because of this. And it's really, if you really dig deep enough, get introspective, you'll see that everything that anything that happens in our lives boils down to us and us alone, not anyone else who does stuff to you. It's always how you react. So, or because you think something's supposed to happen in a certain amount of time, and you want to control time. I mean, it's nice to plan stuff, and it's funny when it works out, because it makes you think that you have control and that, I can do that again. Life throws curveball. Timing is the way it has to be. We're just a part of it. You can kind of dictate. I don't want to say dictate. You can work with the energy, and you can
guide the energy, right?
Yeah. You can work together to manifest your reality. But you have to be very aware, because you can't think you're in control, and you can't feel like you're out of control, because neither one of those is true. It's very much a mix. It's a very mixed bag. Words can't describe it. I call it the gray area, because that's the truest thing, is when it's not really black and white, and you can kind of see through that. That's the energy, really, to me. It's interesting.
Well, that's cool. I mean, I definitely
like the yin yang, right? Black and white.
I feel it from both places. Let me read.
You've always been that way.
I'll read through some of these a little bit. That was the first one. Become conscious of your thoughts, and that's kind of speaks to everything we just spoke about and what you just said about guiding it. Find something beautiful and appreciate it. Beauty is all around us, yet is often walked around. Stop rushing for a moment and take the time to stand and appreciate your surroundings. I do this randomly once in a while without even really know that I'm doing it. I do this. I don't know why I do this. It's the same instinct that I have to. Once in a while, I start talking to myself or talking to. I'm not really into. I'm not a religious person at all. I don't even think I don't know if there's anything there or not. I don't really know, but I can't help it. Every once in a while, sometimes, depending on what's going on, I'll say like, I hope please do this, or like, I hope that, this happens, and you're talking to someone, or you're like, please, give me an answer to this. And every once in a while I find myself saying that. But then I'm like, later on, I'm like, what was I doing? I don't believe in any religion or anything. So, but that's just something that I tend to do. But every once in a while, I might be walking outside, it'll be nighttime, and I'll just look up randomly, and I'll be looking at the stars, and I'll really start staring at the stars. And I'll feel this feeling of gratitude, curiosity, and I'm kind of amazed. Like, I'm just like, man, look at this. Like, and just that I can't stop looking at it. And then I just really, whatever it was I was doing just goes away for a second. And it sounds really weird, but I just become very filled with sort of a happiness, but like like I really want to know, where we come from and where we could go. And I just can't get those answers, but I'm not depressed about the fact that I can't get the answer. I'm just like sort of hopeful, like there's got to be something more that's going to happen now to guide me. But also look at those stars, and I've done it with trees too. Look at these trees, like they're just these things that, you know what I mean, they grow throughout the planet, and you know what they do with oxygen and how they work and the science of it, and it all just takes you away, and you look at it for a second, and it really centers me, you know, for a second, which I don't talk about centering and doing that, and I'm not, it's very hard to do that to me because I'm very ADD. I'm all over the place, but every once in a while.
I have. Oh, sorry.
No, I'm done. That was my Mr. Cheezel from Grandma's Boy.
I want to talk a little bit about thoughts and manifestation, because, and I'm going to get a little personal here, but I'm not going to go too deep into. Yeah, here we go. All right. So last year, like, I really was this year. Last year, I'm going to read you what I wrote, because it's exactly a year to today, and there's no coincidences. That's why it happened, because I'm reading it now. And I've actually showed it to a few people today, because they're in a really bad spot. And I'm like, you know, I was where you were a year ago, and I swear it only took a few months for me to change it. And then within 6 months, my entire world was just unbelievable. And it's been so ever since. Where is it? It's the, oh, God, it's a good one. Oh, okay.
Also want to remind everybody real quick.
Go for it.
To please click the like button. If you guys can all click the like button right now, it'll help this show move up in the rankings. If anybody wants to post the show on Reddit or Google or wherever you can post the show and share the show, that would be appreciative. But even above all that, if you have access to iTunes, please go on iTunes and review the show. Click the review 5 stars and give us some comments in a review. That will help this show in the rankings. Appreciate that.
Okay, so I was in the middle of a precipice of change.
Yeah.
Precipice usually is the hardest part of the change. And right after this, I swear to God, everything changed, and it was literally instant. All right, so getting real tired of this world or living, period. Living in this world or living, period. Oh, 2 years. Was this 2 years ago? Oh, it's 2 years ago. See, this is actually when I really started. But last year, I actually like turned it into action. I guess from the end of 2014 to into 2015, it was a lot of work, but slow build. But anyway, this still is relevant. If I would stop believing in the foolish notion that things will work out or get better, maybe I won't feel so bad. Just pretend that life has no good times or good memories or even happy memories. If I can reprogram myself to think like that, things won't seem so bad. Life, after all, is meant to repay karmic debt. See, I knew a little bit like of the right side, but I was really unbalanced, and I was trying. It was more negative, but I knew the key. I had the keys to some of this stuff, but I just didn't. I was still in a really bad place. It's all in the. All right, so I said not to be enjoyed. Well, things won't seem so bad at all. Life, after all, is meant to repay karmic debt and to suffer, which is not true. Sometimes, you know what? There is suffering. In Buddhism, it's primary suffering, or is that the right word? There's suffering everyone gets, right? Like old age, and you feel like crap as you get older. You come into this world with allergies or God knows what, lupus or whatever you get. Then there's secondary suffering, which was I was getting at earlier. Don't add to it with your thoughts. Don't take pity on yourself and just, why me? Why me? Why do they have such a good life and I don't? Now you just made it worse. Multiplied it. That's secondary suffering. So there is suffering that we all will endure. It is part of the game. It's why we're here, to learn to grow beyond that. The phoenix must, rise from the ashes, but it's got to go through burning. And that's what we all got to do some, times in our life. It's why we get curveballs thrown at us. So anyways, repay karmic debt and to suffer, not to be enjoyed, at least for some or most. And of course, some have it the opposite way. It's all in the balancing. See, I actually really did understand what was happening. This was right before I started changing. So I just need to find a way to accept downward spiral. And you do downward spiral goes downward, and then you also come back up, but you have to, because everything else I do seems foolish, just a lie to give me momentary solace. But I'm not believing quite so easily anymore. I can't count on positive or good things to come. That's true. Don't count on anything. Just live your life and be positive in that moment. Don't count on anything to come. Things come. based on your current present vibration is what your future will be. So if you vibrate like oh, I wish I had this, I wish I had that, well then you're never going to get them, because you're not in the moment. You keep living a few steps ahead. Or people live in the past too. It's a difficult balance. I can count on with absolute certainty that most likely things will not be good. So far, I've been right, at least these last 25 years, on how effed up things would be. Maybe this time I'll be wrong. I effing hope so. And you know what? I was actually wrong, and I was glad I was, because things started getting better from that point. I went from that to literally, pretty much a very apathetic guy. I'm not a suicidal person, but I'll tell you, I know how to lose myself and still walk the earth. And I, man, with all this kind of stuff, a year later, like what was a year ago today? That was May 24th, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
What I just read. May 24th last year, I started getting interested in chakras. It literally just said this post, why your chakras need to add color back into your life. And it said some things like, oh, just wear a different T-shirt every day, different color for each day or something. Or if you feel, or not even that, if you feel like you just need to work on a certain chakra, you need your root done, you're fearful, you're scared for some reason about certain things, well, wear red. That's it'll root you, ground you. If you need some clarity in your life, you need to, you need the pineal gland to be open a little bit, wear a little violet, a little purple, and you want better communication, wear blue, like more of like a turquoise blue, even if you want to go even more into it. Anyway, a year ago today, my life changed, basically, because the moment I read this, it all made sense. And I started with bath bombs, because they were all like natural stuff, and I did them one by one within like 3 months. I'd have a bath, and I'd throw in. I started with the first chakra, and I think I ended with two. Sometimes I did two at a time. I ended with the sixth and seventh chakra, and it was, man, it was some powerful stuff, because it was actually the full moon that was in Pisces, and it was like, that's my birth, sign. But not just that. Pisces is the last of the zodiac, so when we have a full moon in Pisces, it's like the end of the storybook.
Yeah.
Time to start in Aries. That starts the new book. So you'd have an Aries full moon next time. That would have been the, that part of the story's coming to it. To me, it was just like a huge close and a new beginning, and that it was. We had the blood moon in September, October, and then October through December we have like a very thin. The veil's very thin between the energy and us and whatever else is going on out there, and synchronicity gets increased towards the end of the year. Look for that, the end of the year, look for 11/11. If you're ever going to see it, it might be then. Anyway, life just changed, and it was with all of these vibrations. I don't know what started me on that tangent, but it was just...
I know it's...
No, I'm not done. I'm sorry.
Oh, it did start you.
Anyway,
I remember when
I
you
learned
started
about
doing
self-manifestation because I went from just knowing you, Joe, and knowing nobody else. I have 500 people now, all very meaningful to me within 6 month time. Because as soon as I did that chakra work, about 6 months later, I saw 11/11, and then everything changed. And then now, I went through a period where I went through a relationship, and it taught me you can't ever expect anyone to love you or to stick around or to do anything. You need to be happy no matter what other people do. I don't care if it's your wife, your girlfriend, your kids, your mother, your father. Anybody but you need to not worry about so much, because if someone else's happiness or sadness affects you to a level where you can't exist, it's one thing to be sad, okay? It's one thing to be sad or happy because someone else is sad or happy. That's fine. But when it sucks the life out of you, or if you can only be happy because they're around or because they're happy, or you don't know how to make yourself, that kind of crap can't fly. So I learned, okay, so if I want to be self-love, I was like, screw this crap. I even said it reminded me of The Matrix. You remember the scene where he's eating the steak and he's like, I don't remember nothing. I don't remember this steak. I know it's not real. All this stuff, right? I wrote a huge thing on Facebook that said, screw this spiritual walker, BS. I just want to wake up. I mean, I wish I never woke up. Let me go back to sleep. I never want to remember a thing. Get me the hell out of here. Because, I wanted to die again for the first time in my life after all this love I'd learned for myself. And it was like, I realized, don't want anything from anybody. If I can be happy by myself, like it'll start coming again, And anyway, I started using I started writing poetry, okay, and then I started using a calling card in the comments when people would comment, because I do it through Facebook, and I used a calling card. It was like a signature, a rose emoji, basically,
Yeah.
and well, it became a big thing. I've since gotten into another relationship a lot more serious than the last. Actually, just deeper. Point being, the rose thing. She's had some issues, and she's going to a rehab called Roses of something or other. Anyway, and she also, there's been a lot of rose things that have happened, and other than that, I mean, they've been everywhere. Birds. I've written a lot about birds, and I didn't realize it. Well, her nickname was Bird all her life. I've been writing about birds since before I knew her. I started the poetry a couple months beforehand. Told someone in the chat. I said in the chat, I've self-talk. You said to talk to God all my life. All my life I've talked to God, talked to myself. Same thing to me. To me, that is the same thing. You can believe what you want, okay, people? That I've done is it tells the future. So my point is the thoughts that you have. I've learned so much in the last in the last year, 6 months, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You truly do. That damn rose emoji, man. The moment I did that, I didn't know what that was. It was just like, I just realized if you want love, you need to be love. Don't look for love, okay? That's the point I'm trying to make. Radiate it, vibrate it. Don't ever look for it. Always be it. Because that damn rose is like, regardless, I don't even, I saved a life, basically, helped a life be saved. And I don't even care what happens anymore, beyond that. I don't care if anything changes, because that kind of stuff, you can really, like I like to tell people, one person can change the world. You really can. So I think that's the point I was really trying to get to with all of that, is you really can change not just your life, but other people's lives and the rest of the world.
I'm not sure.
I mean, you want peace in the world? Start with yourself.
There you go. That's a great one there. I'm not sure if Dave Rose is even awake still, but if Dave Rose is awake,
I'm still here.
Do you have any closing
Give
thoughts?
him the blue pill.
I think we once again started with a big introductory into this sound, and we could really explore this as far as how your emotions are, how nature is, how the physical can be altered, how the government uses it. There are so many different chapters that could be gone over, and each chapter could be done an hour or 2 hour show, which is stuff we're looking forward to in the future. I'm also letting people know that I'm working on a website, and soon we'll have that available where we're going to have a lot more content, and I'll announce that later on for another time, but there's your tease. But Dave, do you have any closing quick statements maybe on this sounds and vibrations before we get out of here?
It's something that I definitely want to go into more discussion in the future, not only the healing aspects on the specifics, because again, you can go on your feelings all you want, but if you can't replicate that in a laboratory, you can stuff your feelings. We're looking to define these metaphysical anomalies and figure out what they are so that we as human beings can improve ourselves. We can't just go off some superstition that will keep us in fear. We've got to go with our natural reason, which is a built-in greatness that's in all human beings. And once we know how to utilize this acoustic and harmonic information, using it for technology, using it for ourselves, the sky is the limit. So I look very much forward to discussing this information and looking at the specific facts as to why this is good, how this exists, how it works, and how we can use it.
Well, I love it, Dave, and what a tease, because now I really want to get into all that, and we're going to, because everything we've talked about in these last episodes can be elaborated on and can be gone over in more depth. And we will be doing a new segment in addition to this weekly show which will be mainly focused on individual topics that we've covered. And we'll be doing it at length, and I'll be explaining where those will be released soon. But for now, make sure you check out Final Frontier News on iTunes. And if you're new to the show, please click the subscribe button down below if you want to be alerted to our weekly shows here and all the other 6 episodes that we've already done on this channel. And we hope you subscribe, and we hope you had a good night. This is Final Frontier News on youtube.com, and of course on iTunes, wherever you're listening to us. And we'll see you next week, Tuesday, and we'll be live for hopefully a little bit longer than an hour next week on Tuesday. And we look to start next time probably just after 10 o'clock, and not as late. Had a little bit less time this time. But thank you to Dave Rose. Thank you to Jesse. And I'll thank myself too. Good night, and we'll see you next week.
You're listening to Final Frontier News.